So it was fascinating to me, Rita, that when we worked with our Chapter Zero fellows, a topic that really lit them up and they really want to lean into is the question of vision. Because any behaviour change programme, which this is for the world, as we know, is going to be more successful with a clear vision of the future. So there's a dilemma. How do we change behaviour without a vision? How do we create vision that isn't simplistic? And I think we're struggling with that, and we're looking at that in Chapter Zero with some of our closest fellows and directors and chairs. What are your thoughts on vision as a way to drive behaviour change, really?
Sure. Well, I think one of the things I'd say about vision is that vision without action is hallucination. So you really do need to make sure that your vision is attached to something that is at least doable. So with that in mind, organisations can have visions. You can control what you can control. You own your brand, you can keep control of your strategy and your assets and everything else. So within organisations, of course you can have a vision. In order to get that vision, in my view, it's incredibly important to use scenario planning, futures planning, etc. We do a lot of this sort of work with Forum for the Future, for example, and also Forum does a lot of work with pre-competitive collaborations. Now, clearly, they are incredibly powerful because they help all the different multi-stakeholder players within sectors to really think about what is it that's going to play out in their sector in the future. And you can play out to different scenarios. There's a scenario which is going to look extremely glum if things carry on the way they are. So, you would have depleted resources, there might be a lot of social issues attached to your supply chain or insecurity, etc. So you can paint out these scenarios from a world that all the sector will agree they do not want to be part of. It's not viable. It's not viable from a business point of view. It's not viable from a human being's point of view. And then, of course, you can try on different scenarios, different future scenarios, and come to one actually where you go, that is the sector operating in a way that's sustainable, that actually is creating a happier, healthier, more prosperous society in the round across all stakeholders. And then you can think about what it is that each member of that sector is able to do. Because if you try to look at a whole sector yourself, it feels often too overfacing. If you look at a sector and sector change together, that begins to look as though it's doable, particularly when you can break it down into a pathway about if you do that, this can happen, etc. So providing you have the clearest and cleanest governance attached to that kind of work, it's incredibly powerful.
No, it's fascinating because I think you're right. I think the way to solve the question of vision is through scenario planning, and it would be interesting for you to know that we are seeing a theme with our members of so many boards now really getting going with scenario planning as a way to understand risk, to think about purpose. All the things we're discussing can be unlocked. But one of the things you just mentioned is what's sometimes termed radical collaboration, but the collaboration that's needed for us and many entities across the corporate sector, civil society, including government, every aspect of the economy really, has got to start to work together in new ways. And the mind boggles really when you think about the governance implications of what's coming. I don't feel that many of our members have quite anticipated what's coming. Would you agree?
Yes, I would, and I think sometimes people understandably fear a sense of collaboration because in business we've got so used to competition and fighting each other.
Right, yeah.
And warfare, frankly. It's so interesting is that the language attached to business is often attached to warfare, whereas actually if you're trying to build long-term value, you need to build long-term relationships. So probably best to use the language of relationships wherever you can and the philosophy attached to that rather than the language of warfare.